Lightning flickered in the distance as thunder rumbled across the gray skies. Rain cascaded down, soaking through Camilla Blackwood's hair and drenching her simple white dress. She stood outside the upscale baby boutique, knees trembling. Beyond the gleaming glass doors stood her husband, the multi-millionaire Ethan Blackwood, whispering into the ear of his elegant mistress Astrid Harrington. Camilla's hand flew instinctively to her swollen belly, her heart pounding louder than the storm. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration, a moment of joy in choosing items for their first child. Instead, it was a scene of heartbreak, and they weren't even aware she was watching. Ethan Blackwood's fortune did not come from old money. Born to a modest family in suburban Illinois, he was raised by parents who taught him the value of hard work. From an early age, Ethan displayed an uncanny ability to see opportunities others couldn't. In college, he founded a small startup that developed a new kind of biodegradable packaging. Within 4 years, it was acquired by a global corporation, catapulting him into the world of millionaires before his 25th birthday. Camilla Davenport, on the other hand, hailed from a middle-class background in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Her parents were teachers, her mother an elementary school art instructor, her father a high school English teacher who instilled in her a deep respect for knowledge and compassion. She graduated with a degree in social work, passionate about helping disadvantaged children find loving homes and better futures. Camilla met Ethan at a charity gala where she was volunteering. He had been the keynote speaker delivering a speech on how technology could help solve social problems. The night they met, Ethan was struck by Camilla's warm heart and unpretentious demeanor. She was not starstruck by his wealth. In fact, she hadn't known who he was until a friend whispered, "That's Ethan Blackwood, the young tech millionaire." Camilla simply saw a man who cared about making a difference. Their first conversation about children's welfare and potential philanthropic projects sparked an instant connection. They married 2 years later in a grand ceremony that blended classic sophistication with a sense of humble gratitude for how far each had come. Headlines declared theirs a modern fairy tale, a union of wealth and altruism. A few months after the wedding, they discovered Camilla was pregnant. It seemed everything was perfect. The glamorous lifestyle, the philanthropic endeavors, the unconditional love they shared, or so Camilla believed. Ethan's fortune brought them an opulent estate in the outskirts of Chicago with winding driveways and manicured lawns. That estate became Camilla's sanctuary. She read books beneath the tall oak trees, dreaming of one day playing games on the lawn with their future child. She found joy in picking out pastel colors for the nursery, reading up on baby care, and planning for a meaningful life as both a mother and a career woman who intended to continue her social work projects. One looming shadow, however, followed Ethan everywhere: the unrelenting demands of business. Late-night meetings, frequent trips to Europe and Asia, networking events every weekend. As the months passed, Camilla noticed that his phone buzzed late at night with text messages he rarely explained. She sensed a distance. His eyes sometimes seemed far away, as if his mind was on a realm she couldn't see. When Ethan left on a last-minute business trip to New York for a major client meeting, Camilla tried to remain calm. Yet she couldn't ignore the gnawing feeling in her gut. She never confronted him, choosing instead to trust him. It was, after all, the vow she had made, for better or worse. In the months leading up to that fateful night at the boutique, Camilla's pregnancy was well into its second trimester. She had always wanted to create a baby registry of carefully selected essentials: organic cotton blankets, safe wooden toys, top-quality car seats. She imagined strolling through baby stores with Ethan, excitedly testing out strollers and rocking chairs. But each time she suggested shopping for the nursery, he gave a half-hearted promise. "Yes, soon. I'm just swamped with work right now." But what truly rattled her were the whispers among the household staff. Their longtime housekeeper, Harriet, whom Camilla trusted, rarely looked her in the eye these days. The driver, Oscar, seemed perpetually uneasy, hesitating whenever Camilla asked about Ethan's schedule. And then there was a fleeting moment when she saw Ethan in an intense conversation with Harriet, who wore an expression of deep discomfort. When Camilla approached, Harriet quickly scurried away with a forced smile, holding back words that seemed to be on the tip of her tongue. Amid her swirling doubts, she found solace in an old college friend, Rachel Friedman, who had recently moved to Chicago. Over lunch at a cozy downtown cafe, Rachel asked casually, "How's married life treating you?" Camilla tried to reassure herself. "It's good. I mean, Ethan works a lot, but that's expected. He's supportive about the baby." Rachel leaned forward. "I've known you for years, Cam, and I can see it in your eyes. Something's off." "Is it something about Ethan?" Camilla sighed. "I can't shake off this feeling that he's hiding something. Sometimes I get the sense that he's not really at the meetings he claims he's at. He's so secretive with his phone. The staff at home look at me like they want to apologize for something. But I have no proof." "Well," Rachel suggested gently, "maybe you should trust your instincts. Have you tried talking to him?" "I have, but he evades direct questions. I don't want to accuse him of something if there's nothing going on." Rachel reached across the table and squeezed Camilla's hand. "Just take care of yourself. If you need me, I'm here." No matter how much she tried to focus on her pregnancy, the seeds of suspicion grew. She noticed Ethan's smiles were less frequent, his nights out more frequent. He came home smelling like expensive perfume that definitely wasn't hers, with lipstick smudges on the collar of his designer shirts. She told herself it was simply an overactive imagination. Maybe the perfume was from a colleague's friendly hug at a function, and the lipstick was just from a random handshake or another accidental brush. But how many coincidences could there be? One evening, Camilla found herself unable to sleep, plagued by a mild backache common in pregnancy. She padded downstairs to get a glass of water. As she passed by Ethan's home office, she heard hushed, urgent tones. The door was slightly ajar, and she could see Ethan pacing back and forth, phone pressed to his ear. "So the flight is all set. You'll arrive at the private hangar at midnight?" he asked. Camilla's heart clenched. Midnight private hangar. He had told her he was done with traveling for the rest of the month. A moment later, Ethan added, Astrid, "I can't wait to see you." He paused, listening, then chuckled quietly. "Yes, I'll pick you up personally. Don't worry about Camilla. She'll be asleep." The glass of water slipped from her fingers and crashed onto the floor. She scrambled back, hoping he hadn't heard. Water splashed her slippers and her hands trembled so violently she couldn't even process that she'd cut her palm on a shard of glass. Camilla turned and rushed to the kitchen, her mind reeling, tears threatening to erupt. She was wounded in more ways than one. The phone call confirmed her worst fear. He was not just possibly cheating, he was definitely meeting another woman in secret. Her name was Astrid. And this had been going on for who knew how long. The next morning, Ethan acted as though nothing was wrong. He never mentioned the broken glass in the hallway or the cut on her palm which she hid with a bandage. She waited for him to say something, to offer an explanation, but he simply kissed her cheek and said he had a morning meeting. In a daze, she watched him drive away, her chest heavy with betrayal. Camilla locked herself in the bathroom, letting the tears flow. Her reflection in the mirror revealed an anguished woman, eyes puffy and red. She was pregnant, vulnerable, and now convinced her husband had been unfaithful. But what was she to do? She placed a trembling hand on her belly, thinking of the child inside. She felt a mix of anger and heartbreak. Should she confront Ethan directly? Should she leave? She had no idea. Still reeling, Camilla sought out Rachel Friedman once more. They met at the same downtown cafe. This time Camilla's eyes brimmed with tears she could barely contain. Rachel took one look at her and knew something serious had happened. "Cam, you look awful," Rachel said gently. "What's going on?" Camilla recounted what she had heard outside Ethan's office door. She couldn't speak Astrid's name without her voice cracking. Rachel lowered her voice. "I suspected something. A friend of mine who works at the Langham Hotel told me she saw Ethan there last week with a woman who was definitely not you. I wasn't sure if I should tell you because I didn't want to cause trouble if it was just a misunderstanding." "It's real," Camilla whispered. "Now I know." "What are you going to do?" Rachel pressed eyes filled with concern. I'm not sure. I'm pregnant. I can't just walk away without at least trying to understand. But if he's lying..." She drew a deep breath, struggling to remain composed. "I need proof. Solid proof to confront him. Or I need him to come clean so I can figure out if our marriage can even survive this." Rachel nodded. "Listen, maybe you should talk to Harriet. She's worked in your home for years. She might know more than she's letting on." The idea both frightened and intrigued Camilla. Harriet was like a second mother, but if she had been avoiding Camilla, maybe Ethan had forced her to keep quiet. Maybe Harriet had to choose between her loyalty to him or her love for Camilla. If Harriet knew, she might reveal the truth. That evening, once Ethan left for a late-night meeting, Camilla gathered her courage and found Harriet in the kitchen washing dishes. The older woman hesitated when she saw Camilla's determined expression. "Harriet," Camilla began quietly, "I know something's off. Please, if you know something, you need to tell me." Harriet dried her hands, looking torn. "Mrs. Blackwood, I'm sorry, but I can't. Mr. Blackwood told us not to." Camilla felt a flash of anger. "He told you not to speak to me about his mistress? He's paying everyone to keep me in the dark." Harriet's eyes flickered with pain. "It's not about money, Mrs. Blackwood. We've all grown fond of you, but he told me personally that if I ever said anything to upset you, knowing your delicate condition, he would fire me on the spot. I need this job, ma'am. I truly do." Camilla's voice trembled. "Harriet, please. I'm pregnant with his child and I deserve to know the truth. If there is an affair, please tell me. I promise you won't lose your job over it. I'll protect you." Harriet glanced at the doorway as though checking if Ethan might appear at any moment. Then her shoulders slumped. "I'll tell you everything. Mr. Blackwood has been meeting a woman named Astrid Harrington for the past few months. She started visiting while you were away on a short trip to see your parents, remember? At first she'd come in a fancy town car escorted by a driver. Then Mr. Blackwood arranged for her to stay in the guest house for a weekend. That's when I realized it was more than just a business acquaintance." Camilla tried to keep her voice steady. Was he affectionate with her?" "Yes," Harriet said softly. "They acted like they were very close. Sometimes we'd see them talking intimately in the gardens, or she'd be in the living room after dinner wearing, well, not much at all. We tried to ignore it, but it was hard to. He threatened us if we said a word." Camilla's face burned with humiliation. The betrayal was even worse than she'd imagined. "Thank you for telling me, Harriet. I won't forget your honesty." She returned to her bedroom, tears flowing freely. The phone call, the suspicious behavior, Harriet's confession, there was no denying it anymore. Ethan Blackwood was a cheater, yet a small part of her hoped there might be an explanation, or that he would end it immediately, or that maybe, for the sake of their unborn child, he would change. Camilla was determined to confront Ethan, but life took a strange turn. That weekend, Ethan walked into the living room with a broad smile, an unusual sight. He suggested going out for a special outing to a renowned baby boutique called Lilac and Lace, which was famed for its luxurious baby items. Camilla found it suspicious that suddenly, after ignoring her requests, he wanted to go baby shopping. Nevertheless, she agreed, hoping to talk things out. Maybe this was a sign of remorse. Maybe he was trying to mend their relationship. When Saturday arrived, the sky was thick with low-hanging clouds, a promise of a storm. Camilla wore a simple white maternity dress, wanting to feel comfortable and light. She watched Ethan choose a tailored suit jacket for himself, looking every bit the self-assured millionaire. They got into a silver Bentley, and off they went into the city's heart. On the drive, Ethan seemed talkative, almost nervous. He kept glancing at his phone, which made Camilla uneasy. She didn't want to start a fight in the car, so she kept silent, trying to preserve what little hope she had left. Upon arriving at Lilac and Lace, the sign out front glowed in neon pink letters. The store exuded an aura of exclusivity, huge glass windows displaying elegant cribs, plush rocking chairs, and racks of high-end baby clothes. Ethan parked the Bentley along the curb. The rain began as a gentle drizzle pattering against the sidewalks. Camilla noticed Ethan typing rapidly on his phone, then glancing around. Before she could ask, he flashed her a too-perfect smile. "I'll be just a second. I need to check something." He stepped out of the car, motioning for Camilla to wait. She opened the passenger door hesitantly, the drizzle immediately spotting her dress. She grabbed her small purse, stepping onto the wet pavement. Ethan walked into the store alone, leaving her behind. Confused, she waited by the entrance. The drizzle turned into a downpour. She called out, "Ethan, do you have the umbrella?" He didn't answer. She was left standing in the rain, feeling colder by the second. A chill ran down her spine, not just from the weather, but from a sense of foreboding. Heart pounding, she decided to follow him inside. As she reached the door, she saw him. Ethan was not alone. Astrid Harrington, tall and sleek with honey blonde hair, stood by his side wearing a form-fitting trench coat. They were talking intimately by the display of custom-made bassinets, oblivious to Camilla behind the glass. Stunned, Camilla froze. Could this really be happening? He had brought his mistress to shop for baby items. And now she realized maybe Astrid was pregnant too, or maybe Ethan was just indulging her. The question hammered in her brain, unleashing a new wave of agony. Drawing a shaky breath, Camilla stepped inside. The store was warm, a stark contrast to the howling rain. She watched Ethan gently rest a hand on Astrid's back, guiding her toward a display of designer strollers. Every affectionate gesture was a knife to Camilla's heart. She felt an urge to scream, to confront them both right then and there. But something rooted her to the spot. She wanted to see more, wanted to confirm that she wasn't imagining things. Besides, her heartbreak mingled with fear, uncertainty, and an odd sense of wanting to preserve some dignity. As she stood by a rack of baby clothes, a sales associate approached, noticing her forlorn expression. "May I help you, ma'am?" Camilla forced a tight smile. "Just looking, thank you." Her eyes never left Ethan and Astrid. From a distance, Camilla heard Astrid exclaim, "Isn't this adorable, darling?" She held up a pale yellow onesie. Ethan nodded, glancing over his shoulder. Perhaps worried Camilla might walk in any second. But the store was large, and for the moment it seemed he couldn't see her. Camilla inched closer, weaving between racks of swaddle blankets, her heart pounding as fiercely as the rain outside. Astrid looped her arm through Ethan's. "I just can't wait until our baby is here," she said in a sugary tone. Camilla felt the room spin. "Our baby!" She clutched a nearby shelf for support, mind reeling. Astrid Harrington was pregnant with Ethan Blackwood's child. Suddenly, a wave of dizziness threatened to topple her, and she remembered to breathe. She was pregnant too. She had to remain calm for her own baby's sake. Still, heartbreak waged war against reason. Ethan had fathered another child with his mistress, or so it seemed from Astrid's words. Just then, Ethan glimpsed Camilla from across the store. His eyes went wide as though he'd seen a ghost. He jerked his arm away from Astrid, stammering, "See." Camilla Astrid's head whipped around, confusion turning to scorn in an instant. The tension in the store was palpable. The sales associates looked on in shock, uncertain if this was a private quarrel or a scene about to unfold in public. Camilla took a step forward, her voice trembling. "Ethan, what is going on? Why is she here? Why are you here with her?" Rainwater dripped from her hair, leaving small puddles on the pristine marble floor. She looked almost ethereal in her white maternity dress, soaked and trembling. Astrid eyed her with calculated curiosity, crossing her arms over her chest. Ethan tried to speak but faltered. He glanced between the two women, searching for the right words. Ultimately, he offered none. Silence enveloped them as thunder rattled the glass windows. Finally, Astrid gave a cold, amused laugh. "So, this is the wife, Ethan. Why didn't you tell me she'd be joining us?" Her voice was filled with mock surprise. Camilla's nails bit into her palms. She tried to keep her voice controlled. "I should be the one asking questions. Are you pregnant with his child?" Astrid arched an eyebrow. "Yes," she said proudly, resting a hand on her flat midsection. "And we're very excited to welcome our baby into the world, aren't we?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Camilla, listen. I don't you dare ask me to listen." Camilla cut him off, tears brimming in her eyes. "You lied to me for months. Harriet told me everything. I heard your phone calls. And now I find out you fathered another child while I'm pregnant with yours." Astrid let out a smug grin, stepping closer to Ethan. "Oh, darling, why don't you tell your wife the truth?" Ethan's face paled. "Astrid, be quiet." "Tell me," Camilla demanded, voice shaking. He exhaled, placing his hands on his hips, his jaw taut. "Yes. Astrid is pregnant. It was an accident. Things got out of hand. She threatened me that if I didn't support her, she'd take the story public." Astrid smirked. "So you're blaming me now?" "You were the one who pursued me, who promised we could be together if I just gave you time." Camilla's chest constricted. She stared at Ethan, the man she once adored. "So which is it, Ethan? You planned to be with her, or you were forced into it?" He looked trapped, like a cornered animal. "It's complicated, Camilla. I never meant for it to go this far." The store manager approached timidly, apologizing for the scene, but Camilla shook her head and walked away, tears streaming down her cheeks. She pushed through the entrance doors. The storm was in full fury now, wind whipping at her hair, rain lashing her face. She didn't bother with an umbrella. She stumbled onto the sidewalk, breathing ragged sobs, ignoring the stares of passers-by. Ethan hurried out after her. "Camilla, wait!" She turned, anger blazing in her eyes. "You humiliated me. Not just by cheating, but by bringing your pregnant mistress to a baby store while I stand outside in the rain. How could you be so heartless?" "Camilla, I'm sorry. Just let me explain." "Explain what?" she cried, hugging her stomach protectively. "That you plan to have 2 children at once, or that you prefer her child over ours?" His face contorted with regret. No, it's not like that." "And to think," she said bitterly, wiping tears from her cheeks, "I was naive enough to believe you just wanted to pick out a crib for our baby. I kept hoping you weren't a monster." Astrid appeared at the doorway, arms crossed, not bothering to hide her contempt. "Ethan, let's go. We're going to be late for the next appointment." Camilla couldn't believe her audacity. She looked at Ethan one last time, her voice trembling. "I'm done. This marriage, this illusion is over." She turned on her heels and fled into the downpour, leaving him speechless on the sidewalk. Camilla wandered through the city streets, not caring about the rain pelting her from all sides. She eventually realized she needed shelter, so she ducked into the entrance of a small bookstore. There, among the smell of old pages, she leaned against the wall, panting, tears mingling with raindrops. Her phone buzzed in her purse, calls from Ethan, missed texts. She turned the phone off. Amid her shock and heartbreak, one thought kept her going. She needed to protect her unborn baby. She would not let Ethan's betrayal endanger the life growing inside her. She pressed a hand to her belly, whispering softly, "I'll keep you safe." Her next move was to seek solace with Rachel Friedman, who lived in a modest townhouse nearby. By the time Camilla arrived, she was drenched, her makeup smeared her face pale. Rachel pulled her inside and wrapped her in a warm blanket. Between sobs, Camilla recounted everything: Astrid's pregnancy, the confrontation, Ethan's half-baked excuses. Rachel's expression shifted from sympathy to rage. She wanted to march straight to Ethan and slap him across the face, but she focused on supporting her friend instead. "You're staying here tonight," Rachel declared, handing Camilla a cup of hot tea. "No arguments. I don't care what Ethan says or does. You need to rest." Camilla nodded gratefully. Exhaustion seeped into her bones, though her mind still buzzed with a million questions. How had it come to this? Should she file for divorce immediately? Could there possibly be a path to reconciliation? Did she even want one? Despite her swirling turmoil, sleep eventually claimed her on Rachel's couch. In the morning, the storm clouds had cleared, but a new storm of heartbreak continued to rage within Camilla. Late the next day, after ignoring dozens of messages from Ethan, Camilla answered one call. His voice was strained and urgent. "Camilla, please talk to me. Where are you?" "I'm worried." She hesitated. "You have no right to worry about me after what you did." "I know. I messed up. I want to fix this. Please come home. Let's talk." Camilla closed her eyes, trying to steady her breathing. She thought of Harriet, the staff who had been forced into silence the humiliating scene in the baby store. She almost hung up. But then she imagined walking away without closure, without at least hearing him out. Maybe she needed that closure to move forward. "Fine," she said. "I'll come by the house later, but only to talk. Then I'm leaving." When she arrived at the estate, she found Ethan in the living room pacing the floor. He looked disheveled, eyes red-rimmed from lack of sleep. He rushed toward her, but she held up a hand, maintaining a safe distance. "Say what you need to say," she said, her tone cold. He raked his fingers through his hair. "I never planned for any of this. Astrid was a mistake, a terrible lapse in judgment. When I found out she was pregnant, I panicked. She threatened to expose me. Expose us if I didn't support her. I didn't want to ruin our marriage, but I also felt trapped." She fixed him with a penetrating stare. "So your solution was to continue the affair? Lie to me every day, and then bring her to the baby store?" He grimaced. "I know. It's unforgivable. She insisted on picking out items for her baby. I was trying to keep her calm so she wouldn't go public. I never imagined you'd see us." Camilla's voice shook with raw emotion. "You hurt me more than I ever thought possible. I'm carrying your child, Ethan. Did that mean nothing to you?" He took a step closer, desperation etched on his face. "It means everything. You and our baby are everything. I swear I wasn't planning to be with Astrid. I just felt cornered." She sneered. "Cornered into lying, cheating, and humiliating me. Don't make excuses." He took a deep breath. "I don't expect you to forgive me easily, if at all. But I want to make it right. I'll cut off contact with Astrid and support her child financially, but end the romantic relationship. I don't love her. I love you." Camilla shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. "And what about the fact that you already betrayed me? Trust is gone. You can't fix that with an apology. Our baby deserves a father who respects his family." Ethan looked shattered. "I'll do anything. I can't bear the thought of losing you." Camilla stood there, arms folded over her stomach protectively. She was torn between anger, betrayal, and a faint, dwindling spark of love for the man she once adored. She thought of all the philanthropic work Ethan had done, the gentle way he used to brush her hair back, the nights they spent discussing baby names. Could she let go of those memories? Finally, she muttered, "I need time. Don't contact me. If you want to show me you're serious, show me through your actions. But don't expect me to wait around, and don't expect me to make this easy." She turned and left, tears falling as she exited the room. She could hear him calling her name, but she didn't stop. Over the next few days, Camilla kept to herself at Rachel's place. She rarely slept, her mind a tangled mess of questions. She needed to see a doctor, too, to make sure the stress wasn't affecting her pregnancy. Rachel accompanied her to an obstetrician's appointment. Dr. Parker, a caring older gentleman who'd been monitoring her pregnancy, conducted an ultrasound and assured her everything seemed fine for now. Still, she was advised to minimize stress and rest as much as possible. But how could she rest when her marriage was in shambles? One evening, as she finished dinner with Rachel, her phone vibrated. It was a text from an unknown number. The message read, "Camilla, please can we meet, just you and me?" Astrid. Camilla's heart lurched. She showed the text to Rachel, who frowned. What could she possibly want? Despite the revulsion she felt, Camilla's curiosity burned. Why would Astrid want to meet her alone? If Camilla refused, she might miss an opportunity to gain clarity. Against her better judgment, she agreed to see Astrid at a public cafe downtown. Camilla arrived first, nerves buzzing. She chose a table in the back away from prying eyes. A few minutes later, Astrid strode in her posture, confident, her trench coat expertly tailored to accommodate a subtle baby bump. Camilla felt an immediate surge of anger and sadness, but she tried to remain composed. Astrid took a seat across from her. She waved away the waiter, focusing on Camilla with intense blue eyes. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," she began. Camilla's voice was flat. "What do you want from me?" Astrid sighed, leaning forward. "First, I want you to know I never intended for things to go this far. When Ethan and I met, he was charming, talked about his philanthropic ambitions, and I was drawn to him. He claimed you two were having problems, that you were distant and uninterested in him. I believed him foolishly." "Sounds like a typical excuse," Camilla said bitterly. Astrid nodded, acknowledging the point. "When I found out I was pregnant, I told him immediately. He freaked out. He begged me to keep it a secret, said he'd handle things. But time passed and I realized he was never going to leave you. That's when I threatened to go public. I have to protect my child after all." Camilla's voice trembled. "So you decided to destroy my marriage in the process?" Astrid shrugged, eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Look, I'm not proud, but it's not like I invented the affair. Ethan made promises, and I believed him. I was lonely and he offered me a life I thought I wanted. Then I realized, maybe it was all a lie." Camilla recalled the moment Astrid declared, "We're so excited for our baby," in the boutique. There was no mention of love, only a sense of victory. "You certainly didn't act like it was just a mistake. You looked pretty pleased to be in that store." Astrid looked down at her hands, her voice quieter now. "At first I did want to rub it in your face. I know that's horrible. I was jealous of you. You had the ring, the house, his name. I guess I wanted a taste of that life too. But I've had time to think and I realize everything is a mess. Ethan's money can't fix broken trust. Now I'm going to be a single mother probably, and I can't go back to my old life. I just wanted you to know, I'm not trying to harm you or your baby. I just want support for mine." A heavy silence fell between them. Camilla felt a swirl of emotions. Anger, pity, resentment. She took a deep breath. "I appreciate you telling me your side, but at the end of the day, Ethan made his choice, and he's the one responsible." Astrid nodded, tears glistening. "I know." "Is that all?" Camilla asked, feeling exhaustion wash over her. "Yes," Astrid whispered. "I'm sorry." Camilla stood and walked out, head spinning. She couldn't say she forgave Astrid, but a strange sense of understanding weighed on her heart. This entire situation was a product of Ethan's decisions, and now 2 unborn children were caught in the middle. For the next few weeks, Camilla avoided Ethan's attempts to see her. She busied herself with preparing for the baby on her own, using her savings and part of the funds from their joint account to rent a small apartment downtown. Rachel helped her move in. Camilla also hired a lawyer to discuss potential divorce proceedings and custody arrangements. The mere thought of raising a child in a broken home made her cry, but she saw no other option. Word spread among high society about Ethan Blackwood's scandal. Gossip columns published photos of him with Astrid, along with speculation about the potential love child. The press clamored for Camilla's statement, but she refused interviews. Each night as she lay in the unfamiliar bed of her apartment, she sobbed quietly, mourning the dream of the happy family she had once cherished. Then, one stormy evening, Camilla was startled by a knock on her apartment door. It was Harriet, the housekeeper. She apologized for coming unannounced, but said she had urgent news. "Mr. Blackwood collapsed at the house this afternoon," Harriet said. "He's been drinking heavily lately, barely eating, and today he just passed out. He's in the hospital now with exhaustion and dehydration. He's been asking for you. Camilla felt a pang of concern. Despite everything, she didn't wish physical harm on Ethan. She was also carrying his child. Torn between anger and compassion, she decided to see him, if only to ensure that he was stable. When Camilla arrived at the hospital, Dr. Parker was there looking frazzled. "Mrs. Blackwood, I didn't expect to see you," he greeted gently. "Ethan's going to be okay, but he's in rough shape emotionally and physically. He's been under immense stress. The scandal, the business deals. He's wearing himself down." Camilla nodded solemnly. She pressed a hand to her belly, bracing herself, and entered the private room. The sight of Ethan lying pale against the white sheets rattled her. His eyes opened slowly when she approached. "Cam," he murmured, voice cracking. "You came." She stood beside the bed, arms folded. "Harriet told me you collapsed. I had to make sure you were all right. Despite everything, I don't want you to be hurt." His eyes brimmed with tears. "I'm so sorry. I don't know how to fix this. I've lost control of everything. My business deals are falling apart. Investors are pulling out because of the scandal, and I've lost you." Camilla looked away, trying to steady the swirling chaos in her mind. "I'm here now to say I hope you recover, but that doesn't mean I forgive you." He struggled to sit up. "If I could go back in time, I'd do everything differently. I wish I'd never hurt you. I know it's probably too late, but I love you, Camilla. I love our baby." She felt a tear slip down her cheek. "Ethan, love is more than just words. It's actions. You've shown me you can lie and betray my trust. That can't be undone with an apology." He nodded, swallowing back tears. "I understand. I don't expect you to come back. I just wanted you to know. You and our child, your well-being is all that matters. I'll sign anything you want. If you want me completely out of your life, I'll do it. But I want to support you and the baby financially, of course." His broken tone tugged at Camilla's heart, but she steeled herself. "We'll figure out custody and financial support. But as for our marriage, I don't see a future." Ethan closed his eyes in pain. "I understand. I deserve that." After a moment's hesitation, she placed her hand over his. "Get some rest." Then she left tears streaking her face. In the following weeks, Ethan sent Camilla updates on his progress. He hired a crisis management team to handle the negative press. The rumor mill revealed that Astrid had accepted a private settlement, presumably to prevent her from selling the story to tabloids. Camilla neither cared nor intervened. She was in the thick of her pregnancy now, with only a couple of months to go. Dr. Parker reminded her that stress could induce early labor, so she tried to remain calm by focusing on the future. She took parenting classes at a local community center, determined to give her child the best start in life, whether or not Ethan was by her side. Meanwhile, Ethan continued to express remorse. He attended therapy sessions, quit drinking, and made attempts at philanthropic work without seeking the spotlight. Word on the street was that he was genuinely trying to atone, though Camilla remained skeptical. The day eventually came for their first legal meeting about the divorce. Camilla, Ethan, and their respective lawyers met in a sleek conference room in downtown Chicago. Tension hung in the air. Camilla avoided Ethan's eyes while Ethan looked restless, wringing his hands. Her lawyer, Morgan Redwood, was a sharp, assertive woman who laid out the terms. Camilla sought full custody, with visitation rights for Ethan and substantial child support. Ethan's lawyer tried to negotiate a 50-50 custody arrangement, but Redwood stood firm, citing Ethan's recent collapse and the scandal. They adjourned without resolution, scheduling another meeting in 2 weeks. As they were leaving, Ethan caught Camilla in the hallway. "Cam, please let's talk. Just give me 10 minutes. She sighed, gesturing for Redwood to go ahead. Once they were alone, she stared at him, arms folded. "Make it quick." He spoke earnestly. "I am not fighting you for custody out of ego. My therapist says I shouldn't just walk away from fatherhood. I want to be present in our baby's life, not just a check-writing stranger. I know I've messed up, but I can be better." Camilla's anger flared. You say that, but you expected me to put up with your mistress in our home, and now you want me to trust you with our child's welfare." He nodded, eyes brimming with regret. "I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm trying to be honest now. If you truly want full custody, I'll accept it. But I'll keep trying to show you I've changed. I want to be in our baby's life, even if you don't believe in me." She didn't answer. She just turned and walked away. A month later, Camilla was home in her small apartment organizing baby clothes into tiny drawers when a sharp pain shot through her abdomen. She winced, dropping a stack of onesies. Another wave hit stronger this time, followed by a sudden gush of fluid. Alarm bells rang in her head. Her water had broken and it was early by 3 weeks. Panic seized her. She fumbled for her phone, calling Rachel, who wasn't picking up. She tried Harriet, who answered in a heartbeat. "Mrs. Blackwood." "Harriet, I think I'm in labor. My water just broke. I need to get to the hospital." Camilla gasped, pain making her voice quiver. "Hold on, I'll call Mr. Blackwood." Camilla wanted to protest, but the next contraction hit, and she cried out. Within minutes, Harriet called back. "Mr. Blackwood is on his way. Stay calm, ma'am. He's closer than I am, and I'll meet you at the hospital." Camilla felt her pride battered by necessity. She needed help right now, and if Ethan was coming, so be it. By the time he arrived, sweat beaded her forehead and her contractions were barely 5 minutes apart. Ethan practically scooped her into his arms, helping her into his Bentley. His eyes were filled with concern, and for a moment she thought she saw genuine fear for her safety. They sped through the streets, ignoring traffic lights with the car's hazard lights flashing. He whispered reassuring words, gently squeezing her hand between contractions. She clung to him, trembling with pain and apprehension. At the hospital, Dr. Parker and a team of nurses whisked Camilla into a birthing suite. Ethan stayed by her side the entire time, holding her hand as she screamed through the contractions. All resentment was momentarily swept aside by the sheer intensity of childbirth. Hours passed in a haze of pain, shouted encouragement, and bright hospital lights. Finally, at 2:14 a.m., Camilla gave birth to a baby boy. She collapsed back against the pillows, tears of relief and overwhelming love streaming down her cheeks. Ethan, standing at her side, was equally tearful, gazing at the tiny, wriggling infant in awe. When the nurse placed the baby into Camilla's arms, time seemed to stop. Ethan reached out, gingerly touching the baby's hand. The newborn let out a plaintive wail, then quieted as if sensing the presence of both parents. In that moment, Camilla felt a surge of emotion. She hated what Ethan had done, but she could not deny that he was the father of her child. The baby's delicate fingers curled around Ethan's thumb, forging a bond that was both tender and heartbreaking. After Camilla was moved to a recovery room, Ethan lingered, watching her cradle their newborn son. Harriet and Rachel soon arrived, offering congratulations, tears of joy and relief that mother and baby were healthy. The doctors expressed mild concern that the baby was a bit premature, but he appeared strong. When visitors finally cleared out, Ethan approached timidly. "Thank you for letting me stay." Camilla, exhausted, looked at him, uncertain what to say. Our son needed his father here. I'm not sure how to handle our relationship right now, but he deserves you." Ethan nodded, swallowing hard. "I promise I'll be there for him. Whatever you decide about us, I'll be there for him." She studied the newborn in her arms, tears glimmering in her eyes. "I don't know what the future holds, Ethan. Part of me wants to shut you out forever. But another part knows that this child deserves two loving parents if you can truly be trustworthy and responsible." He gently placed a hand on hers, voice trembling. "I will earn your trust step by step. No more lies, no more secrets. I know it might be too late, but for our son's sake, I'll try." They sat in silence, the tension thick yet softened by the miracle of new life. Despite the heartbreak, a sliver of hope emerged, fragile as a newborn's first breath. Over the weeks that followed, Camilla focused on healing from childbirth and learning to care for her infant son, whom she named Gabriel. She allowed Ethan to visit supervised in her small apartment. To her cautious surprise, he was gentle, patient, and devoted to Gabriel. He changed diapers, rocked him to sleep, and even sang lullabies Camilla never knew he had in him. Bit by bit, Camilla's bitterness began to thaw, not disappear, but recede enough for her to see that Ethan was sincere in wanting to be a father. Yet she couldn't erase the memory of Astrid in the baby store or the months of deception. One evening, after putting Gabriel to sleep, Camilla found Ethan lingering in the living room, gazing at a photo of their wedding day, which she had kept in a box. His expression was filled with longing and regret. He turned to her. "I'm settling Astrid in a new condo. Strictly so she can have a safe place for her pregnancy. I've ended our relationship, but I need to be responsible for that child too." Camilla tensed. "I understand." The words were bitter on her tongue. She didn't want to think about that baby, a living symbol of his betrayal. But she nodded because she respected that child's innocence in all this. Ethan approached. "I won't hide anything from you anymore. If you want updates on that situation, I'll tell you everything. If you don't, that's fine too. I just want to be honest." She looked away, hugging herself. "I need more time." He nodded, stepping back. "I'll respect your pace. I've also started couples therapy well on my own to prepare in case you ever want to join. No pressure." Camilla gave a small, shaky sigh. "Thank you. Good night, Ethan." He paused, then slipped out the door quietly. The months rolled on. Gabriel grew stronger, babbling and kicking his tiny feet. Camilla found joy in motherhood, though she sometimes felt pangs of sadness when she remembered how she'd envisioned raising Gabriel in a loving, united home. Now she was grappling with the reality of co-parenting. Ethan's effort never ceased. He cut back on his business commitments, spent weekends with Gabriel, and occasionally helped Camilla around the apartment. He never once pushed her toward reconciliation, but it was clear that was what he hoped for. Camilla decided to join him for a therapy session after much hesitation. In the sterile, softly lit office, they spoke with a therapist named Dr. Hayes, who gently guided them through their trauma. Camilla's tears flowed freely as she recounted the betrayal, the heartbreak, and the moment she discovered the existence of another baby. Ethan listened with tears of his own, apologizing once again, taking full responsibility. He didn't make excuses anymore. It didn't magically fix everything. But Camilla found a measure of closure in speaking her truth while Ethan listened. Over time, the sessions helped them learn to communicate without screaming or shutting down. Healing was slow, but it was progress. After a year, Camilla had to decide whether to finalize the divorce. She had been living separately from Ethan all that time. By now, Astrid's baby, a girl named Marisol, had been born. Ethan provided financial support and occasionally visited. Astrid had moved to the West Coast, wanting to start fresh. Camilla sat alone at her kitchen table, divorce papers spread before her. She recalled every moment, both the good and the devastating. Gabriel cooed in his playpen, reminding her that fatherhood had changed Ethan for the better. Slowly, painfully, he had transformed from a callous, deceitful husband to a devoted father who was trying to make amends. Her phone pinged. A message from Dr. Parker. It read, "I heard you're making a big decision soon. Whatever you choose, remember to do what's best for you and Gabriel. Take care." She stared at the paperwork, tears swimming in her eyes. Despite her shattered trust, she couldn't ignore the consistent care Ethan had shown. There was a possibility that he truly had changed. She knew forgiveness was not a simple act. It was a journey. Finally, she picked up her phone and called Ethan. "I need to see you." Within the hour, he arrived looking anxious. She gestured for him to sit at the table. The divorce papers lay in plain view. She took a deep breath. "Ethan, I can't forget what happened. You betrayed me in one of the worst ways possible. But I also can't deny that you've spent the last year proving you're capable of being a better man for yourself, for Gabriel, and maybe for me. I don't know if my love for you can ever be the same, but I'm willing to try. If you are." He exhaled slowly, relief flooding his features. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. She handed him the divorce papers. These are still here, and they'll remain an option if you ever betray me again. But for now, I'm not signing them. I want to try counseling, living together again, eventually, slowly, on my terms. He nodded, tears in his eyes, voice shaking with gratitude. You won't regret it. I promise I'll spend every day making this right. Camilla managed a faint smile, aware of the long road ahead. Don't promise. Just do it. He pulled her into a gentle embrace. She allowed it, her guard still partly raised, but her heart opened just enough to let hope in. The rain may have poured that night outside the baby store, but it ultimately cleansed illusions and revealed painful truths. What began as a tale of deceit and heartbreak became an unexpected journey toward redemption, with two innocent babies at its heart. Camilla and Ethan's story proves that even the deepest betrayals can spark a greater understanding of what true love, responsibility, and forgiveness mean, though they come at a high cost. If this compelling saga of shattered trust, determined reconciliation, and the transformative power of parenthood moved you, please consider liking this video, sharing it with friends who love heart-stirring drama, and subscribing to our channel for more real-life stories filled with twists and emotional revelations. Your support helps us continue to bring you tales that inspire, provoke thought, and remind us of the resilience of the human spirit. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the fiercest storms can lead to the brightest dawns.